I'm just this dude in the middle of nowhere who does physical therapy all day so I can afford to come home and do this shit all night.
Welcome to the Fun Time program. I'm your host, Vivica Volt, and this is my co-host,
John Andrew Fredrickson.
And today we have a very special guest via Zoom, Boyce Littlefield of the Mindful Skeptics podcast. He's also the founder of the Trickle Up website dedicated to politics, UBI, and Human Centered Capitalism. Welcome, Boyce.
Yes, thank you guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
How's the weather out in Michigan today?
Sucks.
Well, I will say, as a girl from Columbus, Ohio, it is 6:35 and Michigan still sucks.
Well, I'll let you know I got my Michigan can't see it. I
almost wore scarlet and gray today just to mess with you.
I have a lot of running feuds with people from Ohio, that's for sure.
I mean, if there wasn't a running feud between Ohio State and Michigan, what would there even be? I was raised on that feud. It is a religion.
What sport is this?
Football.
Every sport, but football.
Yeah, I mean every sport, yes, but specifically college football.
Checkers, go blue.
Okay.
I had to harass you just a little bit.
Oh my God.
So tell us about yourself. What is your background? How did you get into podcasting? How did you get into politics?
Well, originally, I've been an open atheist since I was like a teenager.
Nice.
You can't talk about it anywhere without risking your relationships.
Right.
Your
Come to New York. You won't have that problem in New York.
I plan on it in June.
Hey.
But I thought I love Joe Rogan, Sam Harris, and the Thinking Athiest were my top three that I listened to religiously. Pardon the pun. But every Tuesday, man, I was ready to listen to them. I listened to every single one in a row. Even if I didn't agree with them, I still listened to learn how to think and I try to model my behavior after how they interview people. I like their styles. And I thought, you know what? I've listened to enough. I have an opinion and I think I want to put it out there. And so I said, let me make a podcast that's about the two things you get fired from your job from, politics and religion, so
Yes.
That's what made me want to start a podcast. So I got a second job at a casino. And it gave me 9 months to think about my format, my name, my logo, everything. I had it all worked out. And then I took cash and went and paid cash for all my stuff and off and running, man.
All right.
Like I was more into discussing spirituality versus all the religions versus atheism or secular humanism. But then I started researching candidates because I was a uninformed voter. I've always voted.
Right.
I'm a veteran, and I think it's disrespectful not to vote to the people that have died for the right to vote.
Absolutely.
And are currently still dying to vote around the world.
Amen.
Correct.
And so I think it's disrespectful not to vote. But I was never a very well-informed one.
Fair.
And I was apparently easily manipulated by the media, obviously. And so I wanted to be more informed. So I started looking into all the candidates and I came across Andrew Yang's stuff. And I did a review of his campaign policies back when it was only 62 policies, I believe it was, back in February 10th of 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Only.
He only tripled it, But yeah, I read all his stuff. And of course, I had a lot of pushback on UBI. I was like, you just can't give away money. Get out of here.
Right.
$1,000. You might as well give away 2 lunches while you're at it. What are you running for, middle school president, And so I had that kind of skepticism because I am the skeptic. And then I just kept doing more research into it. And then he became my gold standard for candidates moving forward. Because then I remember specifically Elizabeth Warren. I liked a lot of her policies, but she had no real plan.
Right.
So I got a plan for that. No, she don't.
Yeah, she had a plan for it, but she didn't actually have any numbers behind those plans.
Right. I can make a lot of plans.
Sure.
I plan on being a millionaire. I just don't know when.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So then I just noticed that every time I did another policy review or a candidate review, I'd be like, yeah, I like Yang's better. Then all of a sudden within a month, I'm like, I'm just going to go all in into Andrew Yang. And then I saw the debate requirements was 65,000 donors and 200 from 20 states. It was the first debate requirements. And I was like, bam, donate. And I said, I'm in. I want to see this guy on stage, man. And then I've been full force ever since, man. It's been crazy. It's a wild ride.
Amazing. I love it. So what was the policy of his that drew you in the most? Was it the universal basic income, or was it something else?
Universal basic income is a good economic policy. I was more concerned with our overall health in the country. So my favorite thing was the American Scorecard.
Yes.
It took it all into consideration.
Tell us about that. What was the American Scorecard?
So the American Scorecard says that the GDP in the stock market is a horrible indication for how this country's doing.
Correct.
It's more obvious now than more than ever, because I think the stock market gained $17 trillion in wealth since 1980, whatever the hell the statistic is.
Right.
And we humans, the rest of us, I mean, have gained like 1 trillion, lower 90% have gained $1 trillion in wealth. And so like he said, the American Scorecard is let's measure the real intangibles like suicide rates and young teen women, young ladies, and depression and overdoses and addictions. And how's our infrastructure? We have a F on infrastructure. Like we're one of the worst infrastructures in the world of a developed country. And so I liked how he took every single thing and says, I want to do what do you call it? Not a PowerPoint. Is it PowerPoint he talked about?
Yeah, a PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, a PowerPoint deck. Yeah, he goes, I'd like to bring out a PowerPoint deck, and this is where we were last time, and here we are today. Some went up, some went down. Well, this went down, so we're going to make an adjustment. It's just simple. It's logical, and I like logic and reason. So that was the one I was most excited about. I was like, okay, that makes sense. And then get rid of the penny. How simple.
Right. And that's something that they've been advocating for years. It's something that has been on the table for a very long time. And it's something that makes a lot of economic sense. But there's just so much weird pushback from politicians because of nostalgia.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's pure silliness. Someone's getting paid. That's all there is to it.
Oh, 1,000%. You got to follow the money.
Creates jobs. Oh, we create jobs making pennies. You mean we lose money making money?
Yep.
Right.
We absolutely do.
Come on, man. Come on.
And we lose a lot of money making money.
Exactly. You know, we're so concerned about rebranding the $20 bill, which I 100% support.
100%.
And be on there 100%.
Because Andrew Jackson was absolutely a war criminal and just a horrific person.
Well, he was a serial rapist.
Yeah. He was
and he enslaved his own descendants. I mean, how gross. It's bad enough to be a rapist, right?
Yeah.
We had different standards back then, I think.
Oh, no. I'm pretty sure that by like any standards like that, he was a terrible, terrible person.
Oh, Lord.
Even by the standards of his day, everyone considered him a very terrible person. So good times. So we should absolutely remove him from the $20 bill.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree that we need to focus a little bit more on stop minting the penny first and then use that money to re-mint the 20s.
Well, they are doing the 20s, aren't they? That's coming out this year. I think Biden's pushing for that. That's a big priority for them, I think.
That's going to cost some money to redo the entire, let's say, the production line, if you will, of making a $20 bill
to
a different face.
All the old ones, and
they don't recall. You keep them in circulation, I think.
You keep them in circulation for a short period of time, but eventually, like as banks collect them, the banks will pull them out of circulation.
Okay, that makes sense.
And the Confederates will keep it like a rebel flag in their
of course
with their dip or some shit. You know, I remember we got a slave master on our 20. Confederate flag / $20 bill from pre-2020.
Yeah. Fun times. That was my first ex-boyfriend. He loved the Confederate flag. It was great.
Oh, wow.
We could do both things at once.
Right.
We can rebrand a 20 and get rid of a penny lickety split. Why?
Because the money that you would save, absolutely, the money you would save from getting rid of the penny would pay for the reminting of the 20. It just makes logical sense. Literally, sense. Sorry, ignore my puns.
This is my symbol.
So what was your involvement in the campaign once you decided you were kind of going all in with Andrew as a candidate for 2016? What were the next steps for you?
For me, it was I wanted to present a audible and video format of his policies as a volunteer. So I read every single policy, all 162 of them, on my channel. And at first I just would do like one a day. Then it became, I was like, I can't do 100 of these. This is insane. So I just started doing like live streams. I just read them. I was like, I'll just read them, whatever. I said I was going to do it. I'm going to do it. I did it, like, so that's one of my biggest steps. Like, I'm going to read every single policy. I want to be the most informed volunteer they have, as best I can. And then I just started making nothing but Yang content, and deep dives into UBI. I reached out to Scott Santens. He gave me, an hour of his day, which was huge for me. I was like,
nice.
Okay, this is a legit dude.
We are still hoping to get Scott on the show. We've heard nothing but great things about him. Shout out to Scott.
He's the OG. He's the grandfather, of, at least in the modern movement. When you look at people who are advocating for universal basic income and really, crunching the numbers, writing the articles, really hitting the hard questions, and then just being out there every day, man. He's on Twitter every day. He's giving interviews every day. He's in the news, and he's always out there pushing back, because everybody has these same reactions to UBI when they first learn about it. Everybody goes through that same process of, it's insane. You can't just give people money, to like questioning, to, unsure, to maybe it's a good idea, but it's not really my idea. And he just has the right answers for every step of that process, because he's been doing it so long. So I've learned so much from him, and it'd be so cool to hear about how he, developed that over time. We have to go back and check out your interview with him. Actually, I haven't seen that yet. So I look forward to that.
Go to his website, everybody, scottsantens.com. Right. He has hundreds of articles written. He's been doing this full time via Patreon since 2017,
which is amazing.
Right. But and then long time before that too,
He's still an advocate, but full time work. That's what he does.
Right. That's
incredible.
It's pretty
get
awesome.
Paid for your passion that's
the goal.
That's the dream.
That's the American dream, quote unquote. You got to be asleep, but he's awake to that. Like, he's actually doing what he wants to do. That's unheard of.
And he's so cool because he's emulating the lifestyle that we want to be able to uplift. And that's the whole point of universal basic income, is not to give people money so that they can sit around and be lazy. It's to give them money so that they have at least their basic needs met. It's not going to take care of everything. You're still going to have to find ways to make additional money on top of it. But the goal is that by taking off that economic boot on your throat, as Andrew Yang loves to say, it gives people the chance to think about, what do I actually want to do with my time? How do I actually want to trade my time for value in the marketplace? And it gives people a chance to start pursuing their passions and potentially get paid to do the things you care about. Because when people are pursuing the things that they're inspired by, we are all living in a better world as a result. So it's so cool to see how Scott has really emulated that and said, look, I'm getting a universal basic income through my Patreon, through my sponsors who sponsor me every month. And then I focus all of my time on emulating that lifestyle and advocating for it and showing other people how this can make humanity better, can make our communities better. So yeah, he's such an inspiration. He really is. That's so cool you had a chance to interview him.
I think we should lobby him to be the lobbyist for the people.
Yes.
And
nice.
We should do more lobbying to get him to walk the halls of Congress.
Yes, I'm in. Sold. I mean, I know it was a really hard sell, but here I am. I'm sold.
You can bring your arm back. I didn't twist it too hard. I hope I didn't hurt you. He's that talker. Like so most people are just hearing about it in the last 2 years.
Right. With the presidential run. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But he's been doing this shit for decades. Yeah. There's nothing you can say that he hasn't already pondered and flushed out. So he's the perfect person to go to Congress. And you're a conservative. You can be a Trumpkin bootlicker twat waffle, and he will have every answer to that. Every answer. There's nothing you can say. And he will paint it to a corner and be like, beautiful. So any other squid you try and jump on, I'll blow them up.
Right. In answer to every single question that you've got, here's the answer, because I know what you're about to ask, because 100 people before you have asked that question today.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what has the feedback been on the podcast? Have you, what kind of feedback have you been getting from people either in the campaign or people who are learning about this stuff for the first time? What's that been like being a content creator in this sphere?
It's weird, man. It's just a weird thing. I'm just some single dad here in Michigan in a small town of like 1,200 people. I live at the end of a dirt road that's one way. Like it's a path. 2 cars can't even go down my road like at the same time.
Yep.
I'm just this dude in the middle of nowhere who does physical therapy all day so I can afford to come home and do this shit all night.
That's amazing.
And then to go show up to the Detroit debate and be people that I actually recognize, strangers that I recognize.
Yes.
You know, like the very first Yang Gang video I saw was Grassroots Yang Gang with Russell. Him and his wife.
Who's Russell?
Russell is the guy. Oh, so Yang Gang or the Grassroots Yang Gang is a YouTube channel, and him and his wife quit their jobs and 100% went in on covering content for Andrew. And Russell drove from North Carolina to Michigan for the debate. Because people donated. Wow. Hey, here's some gas money. Let's go. Here's hotel room money. Let's go. Here's some food to eat. Go. And he met me there. I actually just commented in his video. I was like, I would love to talk to you, brother. And so we exchanged numbers and talked. And I was like, are you coming to Detroit? He's like, man, I'm hoping so. And they made it happen. And so I get to meet him in person.
That's so great.
It's a little bit of a I don't know how you want to put it, man. Just a little giddiness. You get to meet someone that you feel like you know, and we've done things since then, but we didn't know each other. We just and I saw him from across the road, like he sticks out like a sore thumb. And I'm sure I stick out like a sore thumb. So I was starting to grow a beard back then too for Andrew. Like I'm not shaving my beard until Andrew's president. that didn't work out. It was long. I don't know if you guys know, it was long.
You're going to have to send us pictures.
It was
wow.
long. And I actually did
you
a
enter
fundraiser.
Any beard competitions?
No, but I actually did a fundraiser for Dr. Jermaine Johnson's campaign. And he challenged my viewers, if you will, or whoever's on the live stream and said, hey, if your viewers will use this donation link, I will track how much we generate. If they raise over $1,000 or $1,200, whatever, it might have been $1,500, whatever he threw out there, in 24 hours, Boyce is going to shave his or dye his beard. I'm like, whoa, hold up.
You're commandeering my beard here.
Yeah, I was like, I earned every gray I got, okay, and I don't mind being a salty dog, you know.
Oh, but like dyeing your beard doesn't necessarily mean dyeing it black. You could have dyed it like a really fun, like bright blue.
I have a job with a lot of elderly people. I come with a pink beard and be like, what in the tarnation? You know, so as black as professional as I could be with a beard.
Oh, all right, fine. You could have dyed it red.
I could have dyed it many, many colors.
You could just be like, I'm a natural ginger, don't you know?
Oh man. But yes, I grew my beard for like almost a year. It was nasty, man. It was out of control.
Wow.
But yeah, so like I got to meet Russell in person and other people that were in the Yang Gang and the volunteers or whatever. I didn't know there was a Yang Gang, you know?
Yeah.
I just met people that did shit. That's all. But yeah, so like you showed up these places, and then every time you go to another place, people start recognizing you. That's when it gets really fucking weird.
Yes.
Like, hey,
when you become kind of a celebrity.
They're like, hey, you're Mindful Skeptic. I was like, yeah, man. They're like, what's your name? I'm like, Boyce. So I never ever like said my name. I was like, hey, welcome to Mindful Skeptics podcast. Let's roll and just go into it. So then I had to say, I'm Boyce the Skeptic. That way people know to say, hey, Boyce. If you know, so it's just, it's just weird. And then you go to an event with Andrew, and he's like, hey, Boyce, nice. And then you're just like, what the hell just happened there? That's
yeah. Like I'm here to like volunteer for you, and you know who I am. How do you know who I am? I mean, I guess I do a podcast about you, but like,
yeah.
Oh no.
Imagine that.
That's awesome. So good.
It's so weird.
So good. Jarring, but amazing.
Yes. It's one of those weird situations. Like if I ever get to, so I actually got to interview one of my idols that got me into podcasting, which is Seth Andrews of the Thinking Athiest.
Wow.
Oh, wonderful.
I just happened to, he does live streams on Twitch.
Oh yeah.
He's a horrible gamer, but he gets on there and
me too.
Like, anybody know how to get out of this level? I am lost. And he's just, so I just happen to have his notifications on, and he just did it. And I happen to be getting into my car between my patients, and I got an alert. Seth Andrews is going live on Twitch. I said, join. No one else was watching yet. I was the first one. I was like, I would love to interview you. You're one of the top three. You're one of my top 3 favorite podcasts. I'd love to interview you. And he's like, hey, Mindful Skeptics, that'd be great, man. Email me and put this phrase down, and I'll make sure I know it's you. And he keeps playing. I'm like, sweet. And so I emailed him. I put the exact phrase he wanted that kind of cued it. And that he says he'll search it in his if you put the search in your email, it'll bring up the email that says that phrase.
Right.
That's how he does it. So like there's a bunch. I'm sure he gets hundreds of emails.
Smart.
A day. But yeah, so I got to interview him. So it's like just this weird thing where you start to, I don't want to say have a reach, but you reach people.
Yeah.
It's just
you reach outside of your
flattering
bubble, kind of.
You know, it's amazing. We live at this time where technology is kind of democratizing our access to being able to be a creator. Whereas in the past, in order to be a creative, you know, there was kind of a gateway that you had to work your way through. You either had to go to college and get the right education so you could get access to the right studios, or the people who had the gear, who had the connections. It was really tough to kind of break through, and often you had to either apprentice for a long time or assist people for a long time. But now today, anybody with a cell phone can start making their own content and start reaching out and connecting to people that are above them, that have, you know, that they're kind of like trying to follow in the footsteps of. And you can get access to these people because if you're passionate about something and you're making the content in a way that even you don't have the huge audience yet, when you reach out to somebody who's one of your idols or somebody who's ahead of you in the game and they see what you're doing and they can be inspired by how inspired you are by them. So it's like you can work your way up by doing that. And it's so cool to see how other creatives are taking advantage of that. And it's such a reminder that like now is the time for universal basic income and these kinds of things, because we have so many people out there who are sitting on such potential that maybe have to waste it by going into 2 or 3 jobs in order to make ends meet, because maybe, you know, they didn't do as well traditionally in school, but maybe they have this other passion that they're super passionate about, but they'll never get the chance to realize those dreams because they're stuck in this you know, terrible economy that doesn't support, you know, normal people, as Andrew Yang puts it. So it's so cool to see how people like you and other people are taking advantage of that and really emulating that life and showing that, like, look, man, there's so much potential out there and so much unrealized potential of people, so many people that we could be taking advantage of as a society, you know, by uplifting them. So that's so cool to see. Tell us about the Trickle Up. What is the Trickle Up? What was the inspiration for that?
So the idea of the Trickle Up, when Andrew was running, the idea is I want to be like the Netflix of politics for Andrew Yang, and be like, okay, the homepage, Zach and Matt's over here, Paget's here, Nerds is here, Fred's over here, Grassroots is here, I'm over there, and we're all over the goddamn country covering Andrew Yang on election day. That was the big idea. It was like, what if we could be everywhere? And we're all over the country. We're all in, you know, you guys are in New York. We got people everywhere in this country. What if we live stream from every place in one place? Because a lot of us have shared audience, of course. So what if you could be on your laptop on election day and jump in all these different streams and just hop in on one place?
Right.
So the idea was to be one place to find all other Yang content or UBI content for podcasters, YouTubers, and writers. So I thought, okay, what if we did like a co-opt website that's like Netflix of politics, you know? So that's ultimately still the goal. But so for now, we're like sharing content of other people to help people grow and to get cross promotion, because they could come for this person, not realize there's this whole other, let's see what those guys are about.
Right.
You know? And that's all I want to do is help raise awareness to all other content creators, because there were YouTube channels I didn't know it even existed, and I'm in this shit.
Right.
Like, how do you slip through me? Like, I'm looking at you.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and I found you guys. I was like, oh, here we go. Now we got to elevate you guys. I really love your guys' format. You sound really good. Your audio is impeccable.
Awesome. Thanks, John.
It really is.
It's been a labor of love.
Man, you damn right, man. And people think that you go on, you're making money off the campaign. I'm like, bitch, please. I ain't making shit. Get real. I'm not paid. I'm a volunteer, bro.
Right.
But yeah, man, it's just one of those beautiful things. But I want to delve back to what you said about UBI. There should be no such thing as a starving artist anymore.
Correct.
Period.
Yeah.
That should be a thing of the past. That should be something that we left in the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
There's no reason for artists to be starving. And honestly, I was just running the numbers earlier today, and there's really no reason for us to have homeless people. Like, homelessness is it's a created problem, and it's a completely and avoidable problem. Completely fixable.
Is that something you guys struggle with in Michigan as well? It's a big problem here in New York.
It's a problem, but not as not as dense because we're not dense.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's very rural. But there
Gotcha.
are definitely homeless encampments in the cities where you have a burn pile or a damn, when you call it like a burn barrel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
20
The flaming
people
trash
standing
can
around
kind of thing. Yeah.
and just kind of just sitting there talking shit and having a drink and having a smoke and chilling, man.
Yeah.
And that's the places I get sent for physical therapy. I go into the worst of the worst
Wow.
because I'm from there. And so like, I just walk up in that bitch like I own it. Like, what's up, fellas?
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, what's going on, kid? You know, and just treat people with respect, you know, 'cause,
Exactly.
okay,
Treat them
you're
like they're
struggling,
human.
but you're damn right. You're a human. I'm not scared of you because of this and
Exactly.
that. What do you call it? This, narrative.
Because like, what is
But I
there to be
grew up in
scared
that
of, really? I mean, I know there is a statistic that there are a higher number of mentally ill people who are unhoused, but it's interesting because the number of violent unhoused people is actually statistically pretty low.
Yeah.
So the narrative that an unhoused person is going to be violent or that they're on drugs is actually really false, and it's one of those things where you just really got to give people money and they will do what they need to do to survive.
Yeah.
Our culture has demonized homelessness to a point where people literally are scared. And there are some places that are scary. Like Skid Row in LA is no joke.
Sure.
Because, and it's not because it's natural, it's not innate, it's because of resources.
Yep.
If you come
It's a
down there and give
resource
somebody
desert.
$100, they're getting their ass kicked today. They're not going to keep that $100.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you walked up and gave a stranger on Skid Row $100, that ass is getting whooped. ASAP.
If anyone sees it, yeah, absolutely.
The alpha is going to come through there and beat someone down, and they're going to mug you. You know, it's kind of like the unintended consequences of putting wells in places that are destitute of water in the Middle East or sub-Saharan Africa, where the water's so sparse. Then all of a sudden you created a civil war over resources.
Right.
Put a well in here, then all of a sudden they were all murdered. And the guy's like,
resource
oh,
war.
shit.
So what happens when you give them $1,000? Why is that different?
Everybody gets it. Bingo.
Tell us about that.
Universal basic income. Trump on down, baby. Even Bezos
Yeah.
gets it. But that's the thing. Then everyone. So to me, no politician's really addressing homelessness with a policy.
Correct.
Like I'm a Bernie fan, but
He wasn't addressing it with a policy. Yeah.
doesn't do shit for someone who's really struggling with mental health, with addiction, with personality disorders that just can't function in that societally, socially acceptable way.
Right.
And when you don't have resources for your mental health,
Correct. Because we don't fund
you know,
that enough
you
in
can't
this
afford
country.
your pills. Like I got bit by a pit bull 2 days ago at my job, and so they put me on antibiotics. And I had to pay $15 for antibiotics. Now, if I was
50,
poor,
like 50?
15.
Oh, 15. Okay.
Yeah, I have insurance, so it's only 15. Without insurance, it's probably $120.
Of course.
Right.
Now imagine that. You're homeless, you get bit by a dog. Doc says you need antibiotics so don't get infected. Here's a script.
How do you fill it?
You're done. Now you're getting an infection, possibly, and lose your leg. Like it's that dangerous for people. And so Bernie guaranteeing everyone a job doesn't help them.
No. Well, because also in order to get a job, when you're guaranteeing someone a job, you have to have an address as the baseline.
Yes.
So in order to get a job, if you don't have an address, you can't get a job. And a lot of people don't realize when you're dealing with unhoused people, if you just give them an address where they can file all their paperwork to, within a year, they will be functioning and back ready to be productive members of society 9 times out of 10. It's just a matter of having an address to even get the paperwork started, having an address and having a contact, like having a phone. So if they have those two things covered, 9 times out of 10, and especially having a social worker to check in on them, make sure that they're getting their pills taken, make sure that their paperwork is up to date, just having those few things taken care of, within a year, most people can turn around and not need to rely on Section 8 or not need to rely on universal basic income and can have jobs and be back in society.
Right.
But like,
How does the banking situation work with UBI?
So Andrew Yang has another policy. It's called post office basic banking. So the post office already has tellers.
yep.
They're called
Because
post
they used
office
to be
workers.
part of the banks.
Right.
Like that used to be a thing.
Yeah, before we centralized the banks,
Right.
The post office handled money. Well, they already have a cash register there. They handle money. The infrastructure is there. The personnel are there. Guess what? We're going to create some jobs. We're going to hire 2 more post office attendants / things, right? And then you have the PO boxes become your physical. Then it makes a policy where that becomes your physical address is your post office box. And then you can use that for employment.
Right.
You can use that for getting an ID at the Secretary of State. You can use that to get a bank. Like you can't open a bank account without a physical address either.
Right.
Right.
So
So you end up with
that-
people. The whole system is designed to work against people who have fallen through the cracks. Like you make a mistake and you end up on the street. You end up, fucking up your credit. You end up losing your bank account. You can't create a new bank account. You can't get an address because no landlord's going to allow you to become a tenant if you have this screwed up past and the screwed up history and you don't have the right thing. So it's like every step you take further down that path, the harder it is to claw back out of it. And then it's no wonder that people get stuck in that and they turn to diseases of despair, which are, alcoholism, drug abuse, and eventually suicide often. And, that, as far as I can tell, is a failure of the system. And the problem is that we have this desire in this country to look at things as personal responsibility. And personal responsibility is obviously huge. You want to encourage personal responsibility. But it's like when the system is set up in certain ways that even people who are doing everything they can't make it work. Let's change the system. Let's fix the system. Let's still advocate for personal responsibility. Let's still encourage people to do the right thing. But if people screw up, let's not, get rid of them. Let's find ways to bring people back up. Let's find ways to get people to trickle back up.
That's right. Trickle up, baby.
I love that. So have you looked into Yang's campaign here in New York now? Because I think he's talking about a lot of these policies now in very concrete ways here in New York City. These aren't just like big ideas for the national system. He's talking about here in New York actually implementing this stuff. He's talking about not a universal basic income, but funding for, I think, 500,000 residents to get, I'm not sure what the amount is.
Well, it's 500 for 2,000 a month.
No, it's not 2,000 a month. I think it's 2,000 a year. Yeah, it's very low.
Yeah, 2,000 a year is pennies. When I first originally read that, I thought it was actually a typo, and I assumed it would be 2,000 a month. But then I actually ran the numbers, and to do 2,000 a month for 500,000 people would cost $25 billion. And it's not feasible at the moment. However, we can absolutely fund 150,000 people at $1,500 a month for $3 billion or less. Yeah. So, I mean, and we can pull that out of the NYPD budget. Not that I would advocate for defunding the police, but we should defund the police and homelessness in New York City.
I'm an advocate for defunding the police.
I was actually just running the numbers earlier today, and right now we spend about $5.2 billion from the city's annual budget just on the patrol alone. That's just patrol on the streets. And right now, if we end homelessness in New York City, we end the need for that much patrol. So we could easily justify taking $3 billion out of their $5.2 billion because they don't need to have anywhere near as many feet on the ground.
Well, and that's the thing. I love taking on the bad labels that people, I know it's a horrible label. Defunding the police, it could have been phrased better.
Right? Well, what would be a better phrase? What do people actually mean when they say defund the police? Because what people who oppose it use the phrase as, it means to abolish the police, to get rid of the police, to take away their funding completely so that there's chaos in the streets. Why does it not mean that?
Defund the police is a label they give this policy idea to say, let's rethink our funding for the police. It should be called refund for the police. That has a little more of a spin that's like, oh, refund, that sounds positive. I can work with that, blah, 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 blah. But it is what it is. It's the label. Let's go with it, man. Who cares? Like, atheist is a bad word. Motherfucker, I'm an atheist. Now what? Like, I'm normalizing that word. I'm an atheist.
I
have a pit bull.
Let's get past the labels and let's get down to the nitty gritty of what we're actually talking about. And when it comes to defunding the police, it's just so easy to see, okay, well, we don't need as many police on the street if we have no homeless people, because most of the things, like most of what the patrol is addressing is the homeless population. And that's putting a huge strain on the hospitals and the medical industry. And if we can just put people in houses, we fix so many problems throughout the city.
You know, that's such a great way of looking at it, that the police and needing to fund the police as high as we do is a symptom of a system that is not functioning well, because rather than putting the funding into things like schools, into things like fixing homelessness, into elevating your population and uplifting your population, you leave them out to dry, and then you invest in police to protect yourself from the people who are not being enfranchised in your society. So if you reallocate that funding towards lifting people up, you have less of a need for an authoritarian police force.
I will say, as just like a quick reminder, police protect property, not people.
Right.
So,
Capital. They protect capital.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, you create a problem, then you create the fix to it, and it makes money both ways. That's capitalism. Government like Wall Street inspired capitalism. A hurricane is good for the stock market. It's not good.
Pandemic.
Absolutely.
Pandemic is great for stock market.
Stock market.
Well,
if you sell on the way down, you buy on the way up, you're good to go.
Exactly. Simple. You know, I was actually, I think I came across this in either a tweet or one of my friends said this or something, that the stock market is really just rich people's feelings through gambling.
Mm-hmm. It's a barometer of rich people's feelings.
Yeah, man. It's an emotional indicator for them. How you feeling today? Great.
I'm just going to invest in this because I'm feeling good today.
Yeah, Walmart just picked up 14 points on the NASDAQ. I think I'm going to go take my old lady out, you know.
So what is human-centered capitalism then? How does human-centered capitalism change this? And how is it different from UBI?
Well, UBI is a function of human-centered capitalism.
I was actually going to ask, how is it different from socialism?
Well, it is socialism.
There it is. I was going to say, it sounds like you're describing socialism.
I'm going to push back on that. I feel really strongly about this. And it's been really unfortunate that we've kind of misused the term socialism, because traditionally what socialism means is it means the seizing of production. It means that you are having government oversight of how things are being produced, and the government gets a say in which companies produce what and how much they produce. It's essentially kind of what China is doing. China's trying to move in a more capitalist direction.
That's communism.
But it's not completely, it is in between though. And when we talk about socialism in this country, people like Bernie Sanders, democratic socialism is different. It's about, you still have capitalism, you still have the free market, but you have the government stepping in to create regulations to protect people, to tax these companies, to create a social safety net so that the people are still, taking advantage of the growth in the economy without just being left out. And over the past 30, 40, even 50 years now, since 1970, we've had this extreme divergence between labor, wages and labor going up with GDP. So all of a sudden, wages stagnating and GDP continuing to skyrocket, because productivity goes up as you get more technology into the marketplace, and as technology is able to replace the need for workers. So workers don't end up taking advantage of this increase in productivity. So how does human-centered capitalism change that? And do you think it is the same thing as socialism, or would you say that they differ?
Before you finish that, you didn't actually explain why you think that is different. Why what Boyce just explained was actually not socialism. What you just explained was communism.
No, I mean, socialism is also about having government control over the means of production, is it not?
No. So let's talk about the labels, right? Socialism means you all put your resources in a pot for the better of society, social security.
Right, but not all of your resources.
No. Just an agreed amount. So communism is government resources. They own everything. They all own all means of production.
Okay.
Like the government owns production. So Amazon belongs to the government. That's communism.
Right.
And you get what they tell you you're worth. That's
so socialism. Right. So socialism is just that the social group, the government
resources
collects a small or a percentage of the GDP, which is what we have.
It's
every
taxes.
tax you pay is socialized.
Yeah.
Got you.
Taxes are socialism.
Everything about taxes is socialism, 100%.
Libraries are socialism.
Yeah. Cops, military, all that infrastructure stuff, right? So we have socialized democracy here as it is. We always have.
Right.
That's how we become a civilized country with socialism. We are social creatures. We are primates that are evolved to be social. And we share resources since back in the day.
So now that the term socialism, though, has been so demonized in this country, is human-centered capitalism a better phrase?
No, I think socializing resources is a function of human-centered capitalism. But the end goal has to be to make the human experience better, not the Wall Street experience better, not to reward hoarding of resources.
Right.
Jeff Bezos.
It shouldn't be about what the board rewards are. It should be about what the consumer rewards are.
And not being dependent on those at top to trickle down some bullshit. You ever seen a bucket trickle?
Right.
How much water you got to put in there to get
That's a lot.
How much temperature change do you got to get condensation to create a trickle? It takes a lot of external heat to make water condensate on the surface. So we got to pump up the heat to get it to trickle down. That shit. That is ridiculous.
I mean, I feel like trickle down economics have been disproved over and over and over again since Reagan. But here we are still having to deal with this myth.
Well, it's synonymous with the American dream. It's a joke. It's a myth. It is a carrot meant for you to chase in a hamster wheel. The faster you run, the faster it spins. And the more they collect from you, literally it's a hamster wheel making electricity for them to charge you for using that electricity to run your hamster wheel.
Right. Exactly. Which is nonsense.
But to get back to what your point was, is human-centered capitalism is a measurement to say, okay, we're going to create this service. How can we do it efficiently? First and foremost, let's control costs. That's part of capitalism. That's part of the conservative point of view. That's how we sell it to the other side of the aisle, if you will, of, okay, we have capital and you can't have capitalism without
capital.
Demand. And those in demand need capital. This just is so common sense. I just don't understand how someone has a problem with this logic. I mean, you see a tree bearing fruit. Do you pour water on the fruit? No, you rot that fruit. You pour it in the goddamn ground where the soil is, where it feeds the roots. We are the roots.
I love that analogy.
We're the roots, and each apple is an industry.
Right.
The industry's doing fine. It's doing fine. Don't pour more water on the fruit. It don't need water. It needs roots.
That is a great analogy. I like that.
Well, I did a whole video on this shit a long time ago. Called I can't remember what I called it, but I used the tree analogy and said, okay, you water the root, not the fruit or some bullshit.
No, that's great.
That's smart.
That's phenomenal. That's the first time I've heard that. I love that. So human-centered capitalism is about, rethinking how we're measuring things, first of all, in the economy and what priorities we're putting on things. And I love that Yang talked about this in his presidential campaign. He's like, this isn't something that is like some big promise. And a lot of the problem is these politicians, especially in a presidential run, will promise a lot of things and then they'll get into the White House and realize that, we can't do anything because Congress doesn't agree with me. And Yang was like, look, I don't even need Congress to go along with this. I could walk down to the Bureau of Statistics or whatever it is and be like, look, we're getting rid of GDP. Here are the numbers we're going to measure during my presidency. And I want to get updates on these every, quarter and every year so that I can give my presentations to the country on this is how we're doing as a country. And that doesn't just change how he as president would go about making changes in the country, but it also changes how people in their own communities think about things and what they prioritize when they recognize that, like, oh man, maybe we're not doing so great in these metrics in our community. And maybe these are the things that we need to be focusing on instead of watering the fruit, like you said. I love that.
Well, and the human-centered capitalism ultimately is about abolishing poverty and ending homelessness and addressing the mental health crisis and the drug addiction crisis, which is a mental health crisis in this country. Period. No one chooses to be an addict.
No.
Right. Do you think that?
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. I'll go.
Do you think that do you think people's perspectives on this are changing as a result of the pandemic? Because it's very easy in the past to think about these problems as other people's problems, and they don't affect me. So I want to talk about and think about the things that affect me in my daily life. I'm not homeless. I don't know anybody who's homeless. I'm not addicted to drugs. I don't know anybody who's addicted to drugs. Anybody who does get addicted to drugs, it's their problem. They shouldn't have done that. So I don't need to worry about that, right? As long as I put my head down and do the good work I'm supposed to do, the system is set up to enable people like me who want to work hard and want to thrive in this country. I think that the pandemic has forced us to recognize that we are all so interconnected. If we don't take care of each other, it affects all of us. I thought that especially at the beginning. The problem was the stock market kept trucking along. So the wealthiest people in society aren't affected by this at the end of the day. Yes, they're not out maybe partying as much, although some of them still are, but how has people's minds changed? I think that there's been a groundswell of support for these ideas as a result of people recognizing that like we need to do more about taking care of the roots of our system, recognizing that we can give people money and it actually has a positive effect on local communities. It doesn't just make people lazy and when people do go back to work, are we going to still have this idea that giving people money is a good thing? How is the pandemic changing people's minds on this?
Well, I would like to point out the person you described, I don't know anybody like that, is first of all a liar and privileged.
Yep.
Well, amen. But people like to think like that.
Right. But they're lying to themselves and others because there's not a single person on planet fucking Earth that can say they don't know someone that is not addicted to drugs or doesn't have a mental health issue.
Right.
Just because you don't hear about it doesn't mean you don't know, you don't know that person.
So it's been easy to sweep under the rug. Right. So is that changing?
I think so. Well, I can't say absolutely. I think so because now people are incentivized to become more informed because I think a lot of people, this snuck up on them, me included. Like this whole thing snuck up and like Trump won.
Yeah.
Wow. I guess I shouldn't have went to sleep last night. I should have paid attention, but it's too late. Like I went to bed thinking, damn it, Hillary's going to win. Shit. I didn't vote for her. I voted third party because I didn't like either one of them.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's changed our perspectives because people that own businesses pay their people slave wages.
Yeah.
And now they're like, wait a minute, I make what they make? Oh shit. Yeah. How'd they make it? So I'm hoping this can, if you suffer with someone, you bond. Like
trauma bonding. Yeah.
It's a form of bonding, like military service, living in a homeless encampment, being maybe a kid in the what do you call it? The foster care system. There's a bond there because you suffered, you survived, and you helped each other. Hopefully.
Your trench buddies, yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Trench buddies.
That's exactly it, man. And so I think that type of suffering, we've all suffered during this pandemic for the most part.
Yeah.
I'm one of the lucky ones that didn't lose his job because I'm a healthcare worker in the front line. So I didn't suffer financially, but mentally it's like, this is bad. Like I thrive off of people. Human, like I hug my coworkers. I haven't hugged a coworker in a year and a half, or over a year, a little over a year now. Yeah. But like I used to hug my coworkers and give my patients a hug goodbye. The little old ladies, give them a hug and they kiss you on the cheek and see you later, sweetie. Like I love it, man. Can't do that no more. Can't shake the guy's hand, man.
It's so weird.
And for such social creatures, it's really difficult to feel so close to someone, yet feel so isolated because you just, you feel like you're stuck behind a wall. Yeah. Like almost an invisible barrier.
I'm living in a 350-foot square box with no windows, and I don't go outside for weeks.
350 square foot box?
Dude, this is it, man.
The studio?
Just sitting here and make YouTube videos. That's been my life the past couple weeks. It was better in the summer and the fall because we were outside and enjoying it. But we're snowed in right now.
I got a question for you two.
Yeah.
What's the dynamic here?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
What do you mean?
Who are you?
Oh well, I mean.
So this is Vivica.
I'm a constant interviewer. I can't help myself. I have questions.
No, I mean, ask questions. That's what we're here for.
Who are you two? What put both your butts on that couch?
So for me personally, what put me on this couch is I have always kind of used my social media platform as a way of advocating for the voiceless and re-educating people on the revisionist history that we don't really know, that we didn't really learn in schools. And basically the stuff that I wish I had learned in school, I try to use my platform to educate people about that. And when John and I were talking about starting a podcast, for me, I was like, oh, this is perfect because I get to use this platform as a means of kind of once and for all saying my piece on a particular topic and being able to either talk to experts about it or do research, deep dives into things about that I'm passionate about, that I want to like bring other people around on. And I think that this has been a really great way for me to not only educate myself further, but to help other people see things from a perspective that they might not normally get the chance to. I see myself as people's surrogate radical friend. I'm like sexually liberated and like very open about my sexuality, about my relationship style, about being queer, about every part of my life. And on top of that, I grew up kind of basically raised as a white supremacist and had to unlearn a whole lot of internalized racism. So it makes me want to help others come along on that journey of unlearning that systemic internalized racism and show that like it's not a moral judgment to say, oh shit, you've internalized some racist biases. Here's how to fix that. That it's really just unlearning the shit you were taught in school.
Whitewash.
So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I'm basically someone who's just been super inspired by the best of humanity throughout most of my life, and always wanted to find ways to kind of uplift the best of humanity and inspire other people to see the best of humanity, because it's very easy in today's age to get stuck looking at only the negative. And it can often feel like things are terrible. They're worse now than they've ever been. The world is falling apart. We're just living in the last ages of Rome and everything is kind of crumbling around us. If you only look at the media. But if you actually look at the people who are doing incredible things, it's so hard not to be inspired. And I spent so much of my time listening to podcasts and getting inspired by other people and reading, and, people like Elon Musk and even Jeff Bezos, what he's done with Amazon inspires me. Even, obviously there's the whole, business practices of it that you don't really want to support. But when you look at the long term of what people are building, whether it's with space flight, whether it's with technology, artificial intelligence, I'm so inspired by what's happening with artificial intelligence and what the potential is for humanity to be the light of consciousness that goes out into the universe and spreads out to the stars in a positive way. How do we uplift those voices, and how do we tell those stories in a way that gets more people inspired to do it? And so when UBI came along and Andrew Yang came along, it would just fit in so perfectly with everything else that I was thinking about how to enable people and how to create a better society where more people are enabled. And yeah, when the pandemic hit, I had been working on starting a podcast for about a year before that, and was just so overwhelmed with work here in New York. It's challenging to make it here in New York as a creative, so you're always hustling. So it's always like you always have ideas, but you never have enough time to really do them all. And man, when pandemic hit, I lost 90% of my work. And, we were sitting here just not knowing what to do. And we were just chatting about stuff and realizing that we're having all kind of the same conversations. We come at it from very different perspectives, but we're having these conversations, in our spare time. And we're like, let's just jumpstart into this, man. Let's just do it. Let's just, it's one of those things you just have to go all in on it. And the pandemic has just been such a blessing for us to be able to have that time to be able to do it. And, we started in August, and what is it, 6 months now. And it's amazing to see how we've gone from being just, a couple of kids with some ideas that we wanted to talk about to being able to get access to talking to other really incredible people that are inspiring us and to share their voices with our audience and uplift those voices. So, it's so exciting to see that now we have a platform to be able to really, continue to build on this and continue to have a positive impact on our local community, and also hopefully the larger world as we go forward with this project and as the world starts to come back, because there's so much to be excited about, and it is easy to get caught up in the negativity. But if you really look at the potential that we have, that human beings have, man, that potential is endless, but it requires people doing good things, and it requires uplifting those people that are doing good things and inspiring more people to do good things. So that's why I'm here. Yeah.
Well, then I don't want to feel like I'm hijacking your guys's.
Please, let's do this.
Hijack away.
So I'm big on symbology, and I can't help but notice the shelving behind you.
Yes.
Is this space a shared space?
No.
Do you guys live together in this 350 square foot apartment?
No, I have my own much bigger apartment that is not here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I just noticed that the bookshelves seem like they represent you individually.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
Because I
that
see
was the goal.
Cube, the skull. I see some different books, but specifically, there's some that are facing us that are the louder things.
Yes.
Angry Black Girl, Japanese Bondage.
Yes.
Yep.
I love it.
I think is that a rose and a vase behind you?
Yep.
Over the right shoulder.
Yep.
What is that right there? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little Venus bodice with a rose in it.
Yeah. So like I noticed all these little things. I'm like, okay, this is clearly on purpose.
Oh, very much so.
You missed this one. Can you read that?
No, what's that say?
So this is.
Can I read it?
Absolutely
I'll let you.
Fucking not. This is not your trophy, and therefore you do not get to explain it. Hell no. God damn. So it says Sensual Playhouse Young Sluts Orgy Contest. I won an orgy at Burning Man a few years back, and it was really entertaining because I didn't know that you could win an orgy. It happened to be a competitive orgy because Burning Man. That's not, orgies aren't normally competitive, but this one was. Okay, so I had been hanging out with my playa boyfriend for like 3 days prior, and we'd been hanging out, having a ton of sex, and like going on all these fun adventures. And I'm sitting in his camp, and he was best friends with one of my friends from New York who I played dodgeball with. And so I'm sitting there, they're just chatting, and they have the most lovely like New Zealand accent. So they're just really fun to listen to. And I'm like, okay, I want to do something. Do I want to keep hanging out with Asher, or do I want to like go off on my own? I'm looking through the event book, and I come across this like Young Sluts Orgy Contest. And I was like, you know what? That sounds really fun. I've never done something like that before, and it's Burning Man. So why the fuck not? Fuck yeah, let's do it, right? And as I'm like making the decision to go in my head, this cute little blonde girl goes, does anyone want to go to the orgy contest with me? And I look at her and I was like, you, come over here. We're best friends now. And she thought that I was fucking with her. She thought I was kidding. And then we ended up going to the orgy together. And all three of us went. My playa boyfriend came with us, and she and I ended up winning the 2 trophies. She won for most orgasms received, and I won for most orgasms given. So I would say I got arguably the better trophy.
Take a bow. You know? Take a bow. If anybody's keeping score, I'm winning.
Thank you.
So this podcast has been so fun because we have such different life experience, and like I said, we come at it from such different perspectives, and it's been fun to build this bookcase. It's a rather new addition to this. We started out with a blank white wall, and right away it became clear as we started adding things to the bookcase, both of us, that we had very different things we wanted to represent, and so we decided why not create different sides to it and show off something a little bit more about each of us individually. So it's been fun to have something to showcase as a result of that. You're the first person though who's noticed it, so that's really cool. We appreciate that.
I'm because of my mindfulness. I went to therapy for 3 years to figure out who the hell am I. Why do I?
And therapy is so necessary for every single person. Cannot recommend it enough.
Especially for psychos, right?
Well, that was also one of Yang's proposals that there should be a therapist in the White House, and that the president should be required to go to therapy.
Yes, absolutely. It's never more apparent than now.
Yeah, right.
That was before Trump.
But I've been twice removed from marriage contracts, aka divorced, and I thought, you know what? Maybe I'm part of the problem. Maybe. My ego wouldn't allow it, maybe I'm part of the problem. But yeah, we went to like couples counseling and stuff, and that helped me. I don't know about us, but me see that this was toxic. It's time to go. We are feeding off each other. We're just not. We're going to be good friends someday again, I hope, and that's it. Right. But I got to go to, because the therapist is like, Boyce, have you ever thought about going to individual counseling? Like, no, why?
I'm not crazy.
What's your problem?
What are you trying to insinuate?
Exactly. I'm not
That's
crazy.
the
She's
first thought
crazy.
every
That's why we're
time.
getting divorced. Duh. But yeah, so I did 3 years. Once I got into it, I fell in love with the space. I'm like, oh shit, I can explore things here and not be
judged.
outwardly judged. Everybody judges. Let's be real.
Of course.
Outwardly judged. And so one counselor failed and I fired her because she brought the Bible into this shit.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. That's a wrap. Oh
Failed.
no. Immediately. Nope.
She brought the book and set it down the table. I'm like, I just looked at it and she's like, so we've tried a lot of things in here. I'm like, yeah. And she goes, have you ever tried the Bible? I was like, I don't have to take a shit right now. So I don't need any toilet paper.
Yo,
and
my
she's
favorite
like,
part.
She just was like aghast, like, oh. And I'm like, if you went to college for 8 to 12 years,
yeah,
go back to this Stone Age thing.
Facts.
Yeah.
You have failed.
Why are we here?
Yeah.
You failed.
You have failed me as a client, and I will no longer be seeking your services. You're fired.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she was
At
like,
least it's an easy barometer.
Pretty easy, yeah.
That's an easy disqualifier for me. In therapy, I got no problem when you believe in that stuff. It makes you feel, if it helps your mental health, man, have it.
Sure.
Have it.
Amen.
People need it.
Amen.
I have friends that it helped them. Like I had a friend who was a drug dealer, was facing 80 years in prison for dealing cocaine. And he's now a priest, a preacher, whatever. And he like he didn't get to see his first kid born.
Wow.
Like he made me cry. Like from sharing his pain, I was like, oh no, stop it. I'm gonna fall apart here in a minute. Cause that's my trigger, man. Kids.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with kids. I'll be okay. If you fuck with my kids, I'm gonna cry while I hit you, cause that's just can't help it. Like there's still a primate in my brain that has superpowers that'll overtake my rational part. Like you shouldn't hit them. I don't have time to even think about it. If you mess with my
kids, like, no, I'm hitting you now and then dealing with the fallout.
Yeah, you're being assaulted. We'll figure it out later. But that's like one of my triggers I found out in therapy, where I've become more observant of others. I'm always trying to figure people out. That's also not cool of me, but I always do it. So as soon as I saw you guys, I'm like, okay, there's distance between them. I don't think they're physically a couple. The body language doesn't mean there's an us in that way. I'm like I'm picking you guys apart.
I love it. Honestly, I love it because I do exactly the same fucking thing. I'm 100% the same way. I'm fascinated by humans. So psychology, sociology, and anthropology are my 3 favorite subjects. And I just am fascinated by the human experience and how people present themselves to the world and to others. And I think that when people are being honest with themselves, they will be very clear with who they are and be very upfront with who they are. It's just a matter of whether or not you listen.
Well, and that's the thing too. The person in your skull doesn't exist.
It's who you are.
In my head doesn't exist anywhere but in here. Who I am is who you experience, and who everyone has ever met me experience. That's who I actually am. And the closer that becomes, the more authentic you are.
Amen.
Or the more you get to be happy with who you are.
Amen.
Yeah.
And so I'm a good person, but I cheated on my wife. I'm a good person, but I stole money from the bank or whatever. Like I'm a good person, but I lied on my tax. Like whatever.
Yeah.
Like, no, you're not. If you beat your wife and you cheat on her and you stole from your friends and you're not
and you're
actually
manipulating
a good person.
people just for the fun of it, and you're using people for your own end goals. Yeah, of course. Like you can't sit there and say, yeah, I'm a good person at the end of the day. But also, let me just go ahead and manipulate somebody real quick. Like, these two things don't line up.
I would say that that's also one of the greatest tragedies of our economic system is that we teach kids to be dreamers when they're kids, to think about all the ways that you want to change the world. But then we don't set up a system that enables them to actually pursue that. The only people that get to pursue that are the children of means who have supportive families who are able to enable them to not have to worry about getting a job as soon as they turn 16, worrying about, supporting themselves, supporting their families, and getting stuck in this economic system where they can never actually pursue their dreams. And I started to experience that more and more as as I got inspired by podcasts and thinking about the ways that I wanted to get involved in helping to change the world, but being stuck in this situation here in New York where you're constantly hustling to be successful as a creative, and this divergence between what you experience in your brain as your dreams and your ideas that you want to make real in the real world and not being able to act on them is one of the most frustrating things. And the longer that goes on, the more you can kind of experience despair and dissatisfaction with the work that otherwise normally is sustaining you and should be good. But if it's not sustaining your ability to pursue your dreams, it ends up being a huge problem in your life. And so that's why when this pandemic hit, I had just invested in this photo studio to really kind of lean into my business and be able to grow my business so that I could spend less time hustling to make, ends meet doing all kinds of other jobs and just doing, the work that inspired me. And then pandemic hit and I was paying for both a 1-bedroom apartment and for this photo studio. And it was just so obvious to me right away, like, which one do I get rid of? I got rid of my apartment, and it was like, I need to spend this time in here doing the work that's in my head and materializing that world that I live in up here, man. I live in all the dreams that I have. Nobody else gets to experience that. And that is the greatest freaking tragedy, man, because I don't get to experience it in the real world and share it with other people. And they don't get to experience what I have to offer. So the past year almost now in this studio has just been the most fortunate and beautiful time for me as a result of that. I don't know. I shouldn't go into all the details about what it's been like living in here, but let's just say it's been a fun challenge. I consider being like an astronaut in the International Space Station. If they can take a sponge bath, and survive up there for a year, I can find a way to live in this place and to just focus on doing the things that matter and not worrying about, is this the right lifestyle for a 35-year-old single man, living in Brooklyn? Because you describe that to most people and they look at you like you're a fucking loser. But for me, this is everything. I'm doing the things that I want to be doing. And when the world comes back, I'll still have the opportunity to pursue all the other things that I love doing as well that give you value in other people's minds. But like, if I'm not doing this stuff, then none of it matters, So well, yeah, that's the story behind this place.
Well, let's circle that back to your original question a minute ago, was about UBI and to tie to what you just said was only people who can afford to pursue their dreams are the ones with resources.
Yes.
Right.
And so if you can't so the only people that pursue their dreams can afford to fail.
Right.
Yes.
Reoccurring installments, dividend, our money, our tax money. It's a tax return every month.
Absolutely.
You can fail every goddamn month. It's okay. Mm-hmm. It's just like buying stock. You buy 10 losers, you just need one winner, and you're a winner. Think about that. You're investing in yourself. I might have been wrong 10 months this year, but that 1 month I was right, baby, we're off and running. It's that kind of thing. If you can't afford to fail, you must not fail. Or you will be on the goddamn street. You play it safe. High risk, high reward. Only works for those that can afford to lose this $100 that they're going to invest in Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever the hell ever thing. Like those people continue to win because they can afford to fail 100 times.
But there's something about the consistency of it too, and being able to rely on that monthly income, because that's something I experienced, we all experienced so intensely during this pandemic was the unemployment situation. When it first happened, all of our work was 1099. We weren't, paying into the unemployment system here in New York City because all the jobs for creatives, essentially, if you're hustling, man, you're picking up any extra work you can do, and they misclassify you as independent contractors when technically you're not really. And so when a pandemic first hit and all of our jobs disappeared, all the people I was talking to were like, man, we're screwed. There's going to be no unemployment. Government doesn't give a fuck about us. Like, people are moving home, moving in with their families, people that had been mostly successful pursuing their dreams as creatives, but hustling, bartending, catering, dancing, whatever it was that people needed to do to make ends meet, that all disappeared. And it was like, you can't go and be like, oh, I have this time now. I'm going to be creative and do fun stuff and like really produce the next stuff so when the pandemic's over, I can come out of it, ahead of the game. You can't do that when you don't know where you're going to get your next check and whether you're going to be able to pay your bills and be able to eat. As soon as that unemployment kicked in, I started to see the creativity of my friends start to blossom. And then it ends in August, man, and they can't extend it. They can't come to terms. Is it going to be October? Is it going to be November? Is it going to be December? They're going to finally throw us a bone, And it was like, that can be so crushing to people's ability to pursue, to be creative. You cannot be creative if you're constantly worrying about, am I going to be able to survive? You got to get past that survival layer. And then all of a sudden they finally pass the stimulus again, and it kicks in January, and people are doing incredible creative stuff again. And that consistency, you can't be stuck in a situation where it's like every 3 months the government's going to vote on whether or not you're going to be able to pay your bills. It's like, no, man, you got to put something in place that is consistent, that people can rely on. And from there, the blossoming of the highest potential of our society will arise, and we will all take advantage of that.
But none of this matters without healthcare.
Correct.
All right. Talk to us about healthcare.
Absolutely. Medicare-for-All, or what the fuck are we even doing?
Exactly. So I'm a big constitutional guy, right? And the Constitution says that
life, liberty,
we have
and
the
pursuit of
life,
happiness.
liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Life, okay, you can't kill me. Seems
Right.
obvious. Liberty, kind of. In America, kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
Unless you're in jail because guilty of blackness or something like that, you know?
Yeah, basically.
They
Being
criminalize
black
your
while in public.
Yeah, how
Or
dare
in
you?
private. Just being black in America, you're probably guilty for something, because that's what our system is set up for. Yeah, sorry. I'm not going to go on this tangent
I can go
rant
down
that
that
I
rabbit
have in
hole.
my head.
That's another hour-long discussion for me. 'Cause I
There's
really
a
go
reason
down-
Angry Black Girl is very prominently displayed behind me.
But the pursuit of
as,
happiness is
yeah.
the key term. Pursuit of happiness. Can you pursue happiness if you're healthcare insecure?
Absolutely not. But that's also wrapped up with life, because if you can't choose, like if you don't have access to medications that will save your life, if you don't have access to healthcare that's going to save your life, you don't have access to life. And the pursuit of happiness, like if you don't have access to the means of getting out of survival mode, that's what a minimum wage was originally supposed to do. Minimum wage was supposed to be able to guarantee a living wage. It was a minimum living wage. And now it's just become a minimum of what we can get away with paying people without getting sued.
And then having them go on government assistance that we're all paying for because Walmart doesn't want to actually pay them. Anyway, yeah, that's a much bigger thing.
Fuck Walmart and the Waltons.
And I was hoping this pandemic was going to underline this problem with healthcare, because it's like you take all these people who are over the past decade, 90% of the jobs created are independent contractor jobs, which means you don't have to pay their benefits, right? That they're screwed. They're on their own. They don't get access to healthcare through this, employer grouped healthcare where everybody gets discounts. They're stuck in the open marketplace where they're paying a huge amount of money. But not only that, pandemic hits, they're off their jobs, and people are now losing their healthcare because it was tied to their job. It's like the whole system is so bizarre. So how do we fix that?
Okay, I got it. No, I'm just joking. But I got an idea.
Yeah.
I like to talk in conservative talking points for this to sell it. So let's talk business-wise. If you're in a healthcare group, the larger your group, the cheaper it is.
Right.
Because you can diffuse the expenses across a large spectrum. So instead of raising everyone's rates $100 a month to recover because one person got cancer, how dare them?
Right.
And if there's 1,000 people in your organization, it raises you by $10.
Right.
If there's 100,000 people in your organization, they raise your rates by $1.
Right.
First of all, it's a for-profit system that shouldn't exist.
No, absolutely not.
We're not going to say that to our conservative friends. This is how we sell it, right?
Sure.
This is in the back of my head saying you fucking idiots. But, so now imagine there's 326 million people in this system.
That's pennies. Not even.
It's a microcent. It's negligible, and it's cheaper and more efficient.
Yeah.
Especially during a pandemic.
Yeah.
The military has it. I had socialized medicine in the military for 4 years. Donald Trump has socialized medicine being a representative.
All of our politicians absolutely have it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Including Mitch fucking McConnell. Fuck you, Mitch McConnell.
I mean, that should be a requirement for Congress to be on the same plan that the worst off on our society is in, because then they'd fix it. I mean, that would be it.
If I ever get to interview Andrew Yang one-on-one, I'm not even talking about today to him. He's already got today kind of figured out. I want to challenge him about the future.
Yes.
Yeah. So when are we overturning Citizens United?
Absolutely. But like, let's say he wins the mayor, hooray for you two, for sure.
Yeah.
But let's say 2028's most likely. So it's not likely anyone's going to challenge Joe for a re-election or a Kamala if she comes out, which I think she should be the heir apparent coming out of this. She's not my favorite candidate. I don't like most of her policies, but what are you going to do? You know, it is what it is. That's how politics works. And it's just the same old thing over and over. But if he's in a position to go for 2028, let's talk policy today. Let's get this bitch. Iron sharpens iron.
Yep.
Let's start sharpening. And so my pitch to Andrew is I support Medicare for all. Single payer is the goal. How we get there's negotiable. But here's the primary point. Congress has to opt in. They don't have the option. You're a public fucking servant.
Yeah.
Yes.
How is it that like Congress and Senate haven't been put on the same healthcare system as everybody else? Like that, that staggers me that they have been living in this privileged little bubble dictating to the masses. Like this reminds me of the French aristocracy where let them eat cake. Like, okay.
Yes.
I mean, I see a guillotine in your future, but that's neither here nor there.
That's why I'm a fan of AOC, though. Also, she speaks truth to power, and she's transparent, and
Love
she's
her.
honest, and she's vulnerable, and she's fucking intelligent.
Yes, she is. All day, every
really,
day.
really intelligent. People don't give her credit because she's just a beautiful woman.
Right.
But she's got it up here like nobody's
She
business.
absolutely does. She's sharp as a tack.
She's Andrew Yang in Congress, as far as I'm concerned, because she's a fighter. I think she's misguided on some things. That's okay. She's open to listen and talking. She will get it right eventually.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. But when she says, I was scared for my life, her Instagram live yesterday, she went raw, man. She exposed herself yesterday and says, you know, I'm a survivor of a sexual assault. On a live Instagram feed,
That's huge.
that's brave, first of all. But
especially for someone as prominent of a figure as her.
Absolutely. But what I liked about her is that when she went to Congress, she live streamed every day her orientation. And she says, 2 years ago or 2 months ago, this is what I had for insurance.
Right.
Now look what they're offering, this golden nest egg. She goes, why am I special enough? Why am I good now? What makes me so much better?
Amazing.
Why do we get this? Why don't everyone get this? Everyone deserves this. And she really started doing that arm thing she does. I love.
Love her.
That's the New Yorker in her. Like you could tell.
I like it. But she spoke truth about. She's like, man, now I'm good enough because you guys voted.
What changed?
Why am I good enough now? I'm the same person 2 months ago.
Yep.
Why am I good enough now? So to me, Congress must opt into the Medicare system they create for us.
Yes.
Period. And again, with the term limits, we could go down this whole damn list of things, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, there's so many things.
Just to keep it on healthcare, that's a quick fix. Is you have to incentivize good behavior, and you make it apply to them. Then incentivize a good package because I don't support Medicare for all single payer if I don't know what it is.
Yep.
Right.
But if you have to deal with it and you have to figure that out yourself because you're looking at that package, you'll figure out real quick what needs to be fixed.
So until Congress says we'll take it to, I don't want the option shoved down my throat. I want the public option.
Right.
Right.
That's the deal I got with Congress. And and that's how I approach Medicare for all. Eventually, it's going to have to be single payer if we want to be effective with our resources.
Right.
We want better outcomes. Duh.
Right.
I think every human being should get a full body CAT scan review once a year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Prostate cancer, testicular cancer for men, 1-2 punch, we're out the door. Women, cervical cancer and breast cancer.
Yeah, we're not what's the word? We're not thinking
proactive.
Yeah, we're not proactive enough with our
Preventative
healthcare.
medicine is
exactly. Our healthcare is we only deal with end of life and we only deal with problems. I mean, that's always my problem going to the doctor is that you go and you get your physical, and being a young, healthy person, they look at your numbers and they're like, get out of my office. You don't register high enough on the problems chart for me to pay any attention to you. I don't have bandwidth for you. And I've always felt like, well, maybe there are things that I could be doing better if we actually jumped into these numbers. I finally discovered a doctor's office called Forward. It's this new tech startup that's trying to do it in a much different way, where you sit down with a doctor, you can go in as frequently as you want, and they do all your vitals, and they go over them every time. They're like, okay, now you're here, you were here, maybe you should think about this, maybe you should think about that. That kind of preventative healthcare is so important, and we really need to rethink how we're doing that on a nationwide level. And hopefully, if we were able to do a single payer system, we could make it more preventative. That would be absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I call that the Joe Rogan experience in healthcare, because that's what he does. He pays a professional to sit down with him every 3 months or so and says, okay, let's do my blood work. Okay, Joe. And he does his freaking blood work, right? You don't need an excuse. I'm going to pay for it. There it is. Yeah. Okay, Joe, well, it looks like your electrolyte ABC is this and da-da-da. So I think you should probably get another serving of collard greens in your diet a week. You know, like little adjustments.
Maybe stop the carnivore diet for a minute.
He's heavy on that, isn't he? But like, that's the kind of healthcare we all deserve as humans, as taxpayers, and we socialized our tax money to pay for healthcare. Yeah. Damn it. I want the benefits for everyone, not just me. Like, I looked at Bernie's plan where so I really break down his policy on healthcare, and I'm like, okay, for me as a healthcare worker, a single father of 4, this is where I'm at. Right now, I pay about $10,000 a year in healthcare for premiums and out-of-pocket expenses before I meet my deductibles, about $9,500 a year.
That's a lot.
10 grand, 10 grand. Let's say it adds up all the medicines I got to pay for, whatever. 10 grand a year. Under Bernie's plan, worst case scenario, they raise my taxes by 10% more. Guess what, bitch? That's only $5,000.
Right. That's still saving you $5,000.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Every person I know has healthcare now because I'm paying my $5,000.
Exactly.
Right.
I'm good. Yeah. I'm okay with paying $5,000 more if it means every single person has healthcare that I know. And
including the people who are on the street.
Yeah. And people I don't know, they're all taken care of. Why? Human centered capitalism. That's what it's all about. Everyone taken care of.
So these ideas have come such a long way in the past year, even since or 2 years since the presidential campaign started. When Andrew Yang was kind of at the beginning of a lot of this, but Bernie, of course, pushing this back in 2016. And you go back to 2016, and these were insane ideas. Medicare-for-All. We're not a socialist country. Get out of here with that shit. Even in the primary, the Democrats weren't going to vote for that, even though he did almost end up winning the thing. But the point is, in the past 2, 3, 4 years, we've come a long way with these ideas. What's the next step for actually getting these ideas implemented? Yes, we're changing minds in Congress. Yes, you do have a significant number of congressmen and women who are advocating for these ideas, but it's not enough yet. What do we need to be doing to keep advancing these ideas and finally actually start to see them implemented on a national level?
Keep their feet to the fire. If we say we want this, do it. If not, you're getting primaried. Period. Your job is at stake. You are not guaranteed this job. AOC proved that shit to Crowley back in 2016. And damn it, 2022, you're not safe. 2024, you're not safe. You're never safe. You will never be comfortable again.
How do we find the candidates that are going to be primary and going to be bringing these new ideas into Congress?
I think it's people like us.
Yeah.
Because public media, corporately sponsored media is no longer a trusted source. And that's why I'm actually in love with Clubhouse right now, where people are accessible and they're like never before. It is the weirdest.
What is Clubhouse?
Clubhouse is this brand new app that's invite only during the beta stage. Do you guys have an iPhone?
No.
Android.
Well, one of you can be in there. Right now it's because Android's such a big server. They can't afford to have a server that damn big to start out in the beta. Okay. But right now it's iPhone, it's Mac only, iOS only for iPhones. Okay. But it's like Reddit had a baby with TED Talks.
Oh, okay.
There's continuous discussions going on 24 hours a day, and there's these Clubhouse rooms that are themed. And there's big time influencers, marketers. So like Elon Musk came on at 1 o'clock in the morning and blew up the goddamn app. The server had to stop.
Everything he does blows things up. He can't help it.
I know. But people like him are accessible there.
Wow.
Like, and so in Clubhouse, it's a continuous conversation, and it's like, I heard this guy say that this is gonna make podcasting and the radio seem cool again. Like as far as like a push in that direction for community building. And so places like Clubhouse, podcasting, online forums, especially during the pandemic, we have to be, how do you want to put that? Intentionally informed.
Right.
Like you have to seek out the information.
Yeah.
And so I think we all got to do a better job of finding those candidates and elevating them.
Are there organizations that are doing that? I mean, I know Yang's new platform is Humanity Forward, which is about taking the ideas of the campaign and continuing to advocate for them and to elevate voices who are also advocating for them. And that's how we found out, about people like Dr. Wendy, Reverend Wendy Hamilton in DC and Erica Rhodes in California. Jermaine Johnson, obviously, Yang was a big backer of his campaign. But are there other organizations that are doing similar things? I think Tom Leung from Nerds for Yang or Nerds for Humanity now is working on a project for that as well to elevate people who are not just from one side of the political spectrum, but people who generally have these ideas about working for the people and lifting the people.
Yeah, Tom has a website called ofthepeople.us, I believe it is.
That's right.
And that's where you can like find candidates. And candidates can find supporters, campaign managers, staffers, social media people. It's like a, it's like a recruiting place, if you will.
Yeah.
To test out your ideas, and you can say, okay, I'm going to run in this district. This is my demographics in this district.
It's like a message board almost, like a
What's
community message, almost like a community message board for politics.
Yep. And you can say, I plan on running on A, B, C, and X, Y, Z. And then people will chime in and say, you know what? I don't think that's going to work. Then we're not going to get behind you. Simple. Little things like that. But there's also the Wolf Pack. There's also, what's the other one that Kyle Kalinske did? The AOC, the squad, they're in this one. What the hell's that called?
Justice Democrats.
Justice Democrats.
They've been wildly successful, and they're such an inspiration because they've done the branding thing so well. If somebody's able to get supported by Justice Democrats, it means that all of your imagery, all of your design is going to be super top notch, and it's going to make you look like a much more serious candidate. Because often running for local office, people just don't have the right funding and the right support to be able to hire the best agencies for this kind of stuff. And so if you get somebody like Justice Democrats who already has funding for these ideas because they want to support candidates who are going to be supporting the right ideas, then all of a sudden, it elevates your campaign. So it's so cool to see how they're doing that at Justice Democrats. And I think that would be a model to try to emulate for anybody else who's trying to do a similar thing.
That's what I'm hoping that Tom does with I fully support. I actually donate to his thing, a reoccurring monthly payment of the people.us.
Nice.
Because it is that same type of infrastructure you're talking about that will help like the next AOC, the next Andrew Yang, the next Reverend Wendy and Erica and Dr. Jermaine, all of it.
Right.
That gives them a place to go, sharpen their iron, like, okay, get a little pushback.
Right.
And also find kick-ass volunteers, man.
Right.
Graphic artists, video editors. When I was I went down to Kentucky for the primaries against Mitch McConnell.
Yes. Fuck Mitch McConnell. I'll say it again.
Bitch Mitch, that son of a bitch, But
we got halfway there. We got halfway there. He's no more majority leader.
Senate minority leader Mitch McConnell.
Got demoted. Which is, I'm sure it's very embarrassing for an elitist, but poor guy. Same paycheck. But he, so Mike Breuer was running against him as in the primary with Amy something or other. I call her Pete Jr.
Amy McGrath.
And Charles Johnson?
Booker.
Charles Booker. Yes.
Right.
I like Charles Booker too.
Charles Booker was fantastic. And if the fucking Democratic National Convention had actually just backed Charles Booker instead of Amy McGrath, I think that we would have actually ousted Mitch McConnell. It was really unfortunate because Charles Booker was a lot more progressive and he was really just a lot more in the ear of his constituents.
Right, but is that the right person for Kentucky? I don't know.
anyone that isn't Mitch McConnell is the right person for
No,
Kentucky.
but in terms of the primary, I don't know. Yeah. Would have been interesting to see.
It is a problem. Like there's a weird divide in Kentucky. It's a unique place. But when I was down there, he had two brothers running his show, and they were slick.
Yeah.
One was the behind the scenes campaign manager, strategic kid. And I say kid, young 20, right?
Yeah.
20 something, like 22.
Yeah.
Then his little brother was a high school senior.
Nice.
Who was he's making all of his graphics and editing all his videos, making his literal campaign videos that are playing on national television in Kentucky.
Made by a high
kid was making it
schooler.
in his basement.
Amazing.
How can you afford graphic artists, and how can you afford these editors like this? What the hell? Look at your numbers. You got nothing close to what Amy's got. How the hell are your commercials? He's like, I got two kids that come to my house and they just kick ass.
Yep.
And that's the type of people we need to go to ofthepeople.us, right? And those are just two people in one town in one state.
Yeah. And
There
they made a
are
huge difference.
1,000 of those people in every state. You just got to give them what they need is time and resources. That's
Absolutely.
it. It's really that simple. None of these are unlimited. So we got to be careful with our resources. So I think that's how we as a movement get behind the Justice Democrats. And I don't want to compete against them. I want to make them better.
Absolutely.
They're already good at what they do.
Right.
Let's, just like the Democrats, let's make the Democrats better. Okay, let's infiltrate and let's cooperate, not obliterate. Like, I got no problem with Justice Democrats. They're fighting for people, man.
Yeah.
I would never have a problem with that. I don't have to agree with everything they think of on each individual policy, but as a movement, it is the right side of history, 100%. So that's how that's how I look at it. They don't understand their yang gang. They don't understand they are fighting for human centered capitalism. They just call it a different name.
Yeah.
Fighting for the same cause, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how we do it. We got to find, good partners, man.
So speaking of running for office, you got some ideas there?
Yeah. And in Michigan, Michigan is a progressive state on paper,
Yes.
but not in representation because we're very rural. We red as hell up north. Oh, boy.
Although y'all did just turn blue.
Well, we do voting wise and legislatively, but not because overall
Not
our
representative.
state
Yeah.
representation is 100% red, like a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
You mean
Overwhelming.
Congress?
Yeah, the state Congress, yes, is significantly red because there's so many counties up north that are rural, and it's just Trumpkins everywhere.
Yep.
It's unbelievable. Michigan has the militia people that tried to kidnap our governor. Don't forget.
Accurate.
Right.
I remember her.
Fucking
Fucking ridiculous.
We have crazies here. We
Yeah.
have 3%ers, all that kind of dumb shit around here. And
we thought that was isolated to your neck of the woods until January 6th, and we realized, holy crap, these people are all over, man.
Yeah, it's
I'm sorry. Who thought that shit was isolated?
All right, fine. It wasn't isolated, but it didn't feel like the same level of like pressing national problem that it did on January 6th. Put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely knew that because the Proud Boys are in my neighborhood. So it's been pretty apparent to me from the beginning. So even though I'm in Brooklyn, New York, I have to deal with the fucking Proud Boys. So yeah, they have kind of been in my line of sight this whole time.
not for long. Them motherfuckers
Thankfully.
going to jail.
Fuck the Proud Boys, you Nazi scum, rotten jail.
But in Michigan, we have a Democratic governor. We have a Democratic district attorney. We have a Democrat lieutenant governor. We have term limits. State legislation has term limits. Recreational marijuana.
Yep.
If you want to party, Michigan's place. We got beer, wine, and weed covered.
I mean,
got it
not
covered.
bad. You just have to be in Michigan.
Yeah.
I'm still not going to let it go. I'm still an Ohio State girl through and through.
Yeah, well, the worthless nut is a worthless nut. What are you going to do, The old Buckeye.
You're making it least palatable.
Yes. But as a state, we've also, because we have direct access to democracy here, we put things on the ballot and we vote on it. Thank goodness. That's how we got medical marijuana. That's how we got recreational marijuana. And now we have term limits. And now we have ended gerrymandering here.
Yes.
We have an independent board of zoning with 5 conservatives, registered conservatives, 5 registered Democrats, and I think 5 independents / non-affiliated volunteers to take the demographics, say, okay, here's the data. Let's make every district a 50-50 toss-up. That's how it's supposed to be.
Right.
The best idea to win. And so let's say, I think the number is like 70,000 people per district. It's just even.
Okay. Yeah, that
And
makes
it doesn't have
sense.
to be like Detroit shouldn't be shaped like a fucking keyhole.
Right.
You know,
I shouldn't have to be like looking at a puzzle box to figure out how your district fits into this state. It should be very clear cut, easy to follow, straight lines.
You can go down one road in Detroit and you go in 3 different voting districts.
Right.
And they zigzag.
Obnoxious.
Wait, what? So like they're ending all that shit here. So it's very progressive.
Amazing.
But the problem is now we don't know what district we're going to live in until December of 2021.
Oh, no.
So once that board's done their job, that's a process, man. It's a lot of data to go through.
Yeah, that's a lot of data. Yeah.
But it's necessary evil. We must go through this pain.
Yep. You do it once, and you only have to do it that one time.
Right. And so then in December, when they announce, okay, here's the districts. And now I can say, okay, I'm going to pick on that person.
Yeah.
They're done. You know? But I'm not sure if I want to run as a Democrat either. I don't trust them motherfuckers.
Because you might want to run as an independent.
Damn right. I might run
Does
as a
Michigan
Ford
have
party.
ranked choice voting yet?
No, that's my primary goal if I run for state legislations to get ranked choice. I'm going to go 100% economy and democracy reform. That's it.
Nice.
Healthcare is obvious.
Tell us about ranked choice voting.
So
what is it? Why is it important?
So ranked choice voting, first of all, gives us more than 2 options. It ends the duopoly.
How?
Because we can have Republicans, we can have a Trump party. Fine. MAGA nuts. Go have your party.
What are they calling it? The Patriots Party?
The Patriot Party. We're patriots. But we carry a rebel flag.
Yeah, I love this. I love the cognitive dissonance that they run on. We're the true patriots. That's why we committed treason. Yeah, because that makes perfect sense. You're so patriotic you committed treason.
So I'm going to make a Mindful Skeptics gold medal for mental gymnastics.
Yes!
I'm going to carry those with me in the future. I'm going
That's
to have them
just
around
the
my
Olympic
neck.
level.
And I'm going to say, congratulations, sir or ma'am. You get a gold medal. Like, yay, what's it in? Mental gymnastics. Because you go through all the necessary hoops. You're the winner of this. It's like that Bill Engvall of those guys like, here's your sign. So here's your medal, dumbass. But yeah, so you can have the far right party, or whatever you want to call it, which is MAGA turd now. And then you have the center right represented by the Republicans, center left represented by the Democrats, and the true progressives will be like the People's Party or the Forward Party. Right now it looks like the People's
or the
Party.
working class party,
Right. And so that's what I'm considering, reaching out to the People's Party if the Democrats will get their shit together.
Right.
And Joe Biden's fucking up right now.
Already.
I don't want to be affiliated with him.
Yeah, he's already fucking up.
Yep.
How so?
$2,000 became instantaneous, became $1,400.
Yeah.
Maybe. And now it's like maybe $1,000, probably in March or April.
And he came out saying recently, I'm pretty sure I saw that he said that he's absolutely not going to pass Medicare-for-All.
We already knew that though.
But
he ran on that.
Right. But also it's how do you have a pandemic plan and it doesn't include Medicare-for-All?
Yeah.
Like that's the part that just boggles my fucking mind.
I think the pandemic response should be included, like in the actual package right now.
It's such simple math.
Yeah.
Let's get back to ranked choice voting though. So how exactly does ranked choice voting enable all of these parties to exist? Because right now you have this duopoly, and it's like if you don't vote for one candidate, you're essentially throwing away your vote or one of the two.
Literally. Yeah. So with ranked choice voting, let's say there's 5 people. There's center left, center right, far left, far right, and then there's this one whack job, right? There's always a whack job, like the rent's too damn high party. Remember that dude?
Yeah, the libertarians.
Awesome. Yes, libertarians, right?
We get about 12 of them in New York on every race.
Yeah. So you have 5 candidates to choose from, and it's got to be an open primary.
Right.
That's the other thing. It's got to be open primaries across the board. So you have an open primary. There's 5 candidates, and if you're a progressive, you'd say, okay, I'm picking the progressive candidate, center or far left, if that's what you want to call progressive. I think the left is true progressive. Your second choice is probably going to be the center left, and then the libertarian, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe not, but whatever. And then the center right, and then the extreme right. Fuck that guy. He gets a 5.
Yeah.
They don't get a 1. That's worst case scenario. So you're never wasting a vote, not a single one. So if your 1 doesn't win, then hopefully your 2 does.
Right.
Gotcha.
That's what it comes down to. And so with ranked choice voting, let's say there's 100 people voting, and between the 100 people, one person gets 10, the other person gets 15, and the other person gets 20, the other gets 35 and 45, or whatever you want to say it is. Right? I can't break the fucking math down that quick.
Yeah.
But it's not 50%.
Right.
Then the one with the least amount of votes, all
Just
those people's number 2s gets distributed.
Got you.
And so if any of those second votes becomes their new first vote, if anybody gets over 50%, it's over. If not, then the next lowest person, their number 2. Boom. And if their number 2 is already out, then they're number 3.
Got you. So you're never throwing away your vote. Your vote counts no matter what.
For the eventual finalists. You might vote for the second place guy.
Got you.
For the first place. Eventually, you're going to vote for one of the 2.
Right.
Got you.
You will be counted no matter what.
Right.
Got you.
And that gives us the ability to vote with our heart in a general, not just a primary.
Yeah.
Right. And also
I voted for Andrew Yang in Michigan after he dropped out with my heart because he earned it.
Right.
In the general, fucking crazy ass Joe Biden got my vote, man. This is the last chance Democrats get with me. I'm not joking.
Facts. I'm so done with the fucking Democratic Party. And I think a lot of people of color would agree, because I feel like what I've been hearing a lot of people of color echo, especially African Americans, is that we feel like our vote is being manipulated and used, and that as soon as you have black voters turn out for any one candidate, that candidate immediately turns around and fucks us over. And hello, Joe Biden is already fucking doing that, not even a month into his presidency. And it's just like, wow, cool. So to thank us for putting you in office, you fuck us over. That's going to give me so much incentive to vote for you guys next time. Not at all.
But I will say this. The president isn't the problem. It's Congress. Congress is the problem. If we can put the pressure on, they control the money. They're the purse. They get the purse. They write the checks, and they write the bills that the president signs. We can put enough pressure on a president. That's easy. That's easy.
Putting pressure on Congress.
Bro, you got a problem.
Votes. Yeah.
But Congress is where the money's at. So we have to find, like, for me, I don't know if I want to be associated with the slimy ass bullshit of the Democratic Party as well as the Republican Party. The last place I'll be as a Republican, let's be honest. But Democrats, the moderate Democrats, becoming farther away from me than ever. And it's more obvious now than ever because of the bullshit. They wrote a check and they didn't cash it. Period. Period. They flipped the Senate on a false promise.
They have no reason to say there's no obstructionist bullshit. Like, we don't have to work with the minority. We don't have to work with Mitch McConnell anymore. We don't have to get him to sign off on shit. So why the fuck why has none of this gotten passed yet? Like, why is there no talk of getting any of this passed? It's obnoxious because you can't say, oh, well, the Senate held it up. All right, well, no, they didn't.
Well, they are having some problems in the Senate because you have people like Joe Manchin, who is a Democrat technically, but still comes from a very, very conservative red state, West Virginia. They were talking about nuking the filibuster, and he vetoed that essentially because you need every Democrat to cooperate. So it gives people like Joe Manchin or Kristen Sinema from Arizona, people who, might be a little bit more middle of the road or might not necessarily always want to go along with everything you wanted to do. It gives them a lot more power to get what they want. And it gives them negotiating power, which is, it's still a challenge, but at the end of the day, you're right. I mean, Joe's got to get it done, man. Dems got to get it done. If they don't get it done, they're going to get so screwed in the midterms in 2022. Speaking of 2022, though, who are you excited about? Who's running in 2022? Anybody coming up in the grapevine that's pushing some of these ideas that we should be supporting?
Just the two that we know of, Erica Rhodes and Reverend Wendy. That's
okay.
it. That's able to announce. Let's put it that way. Like me and another guy named Ron Marzette from McCoy. He's also in Michigan. He's going to be probably in an adjacent district as me. We're going to work together, and we're gonna go kick some ass, man. Like, but we can't announce until we know what the hell we're going to be in. You know,
right.
And so in 2022, it's state senate is up for me in Michigan specifically. So there's two people that I could run against, but. And then the other ones are like state assembly, other state assembly positions. I just don't know what they're going to be because those are the even smaller district voting blocks. So, yeah, I'm willing to step up and go big though. State senate.
Go big, go home.
Nice.
We got some real fucking turds here, man. Democrats.
Nice. Well,
Democrat.
Yeah.
Right.
Put their feet to the fire.
Yeah, well, we can't wait to hear about that campaign. Hopefully that's able to materialize, and hopefully we can, be an asset to you in helping you get that off the ground. That is so exciting to hear about. It'll be fun to hear about what that's like, behind the scenes, getting into the beehive.
Yeah, it'd be weird. Like, think about that, seeing your face on a damn sign.
Right.
What?
Right.
No, I don't want that. Like, I don't want to run. But what choice do I have?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, that's so true. At the end of the day, we got to step up and we got to be engaged, and whether that just means finding the people to support or that means actually throwing your hat in the ring, it's so important that we become informed and we get involved, because politics at the end of the day and democracy, as Serja says, democracy's like love. Got to make it every day, man. Got to make it every day. So let's talk about 2021. What are you most excited about in the pipeline for this year? What's going on that gets you inspired?
Bernie being in charge of the money in the Senate gets me inspired.
Yes.
Nice.
And I think he'll hold them. He's going to hold it down. I'm excited about Donald Trump being impeached in the Senate, and him never running for office again. I hope his children go to prison.
I hope they all go to prison.
They're entitled. They'll never go to prison, but they can be in court for the next decades. Fine by me.
As long as he goes broke, that'll make me very happy. Get that wealth redistributed to the people.
He's already broke.
I mean, that's true. That's accurate. His tax returns proved it.
In 2021, I'm coming to New York City, baby. I'm coming to Brooklyn. I'm coming to Staten Island. I'm going to go.
Okay, we'll skip Staten Island. Staten Island's trash.
That's literally where we send it. There. I got a friend there, Henry Rivero from the military. He lives in Staten Island.
You can meet that friend in Manhattan. I promise you.
I'm a huge Wu-Tang Clan fan. I got to go down.
Yes.
All right, fine. Yes. I promise you will be disappointed.
I got to go down there. Got to go down there. Just to be like, ODB was in that bitch right there.
Fair. Nice. When you come through,
it stinks. Let's go back.
Exactly. When you come through, I'll take you out to get not only a bacon, egg, and cheese, but a chopped cheese too.
Hey, I'm down, man. I love food. But yeah, so I'm excited to come to New York, man, and help Andrew get across that finish line and share it with everyone.
Nice.
So I'm hoping the Trickle Up will literally be the Netflix of politics of New York for that month.
Nice.
The homepage will be everyone that's there live streaming. I'm going to put their shit on the homepage every single time.
Awesome.
So that's something that's exciting. And we're making daily news content now called The Low.
Nice.
It's the opposite of The Hill. We want to compete with the TYT. We want to compete with The Hill, up there rubbing elbows with the hoity-toities with all the money and the influence. We're down here in the low on the streets with everybody else.
Yeah. Wait, is The Hill now the epitome of the mainstream? Because they love to bill themselves as like the alternative media.
Yeah. Well,
I love Crystal and Sagar. I think that
I'm a fan.
They tell it straight, man.
I subscribe. I'm a fan of what they do. I love their premise of center left, center right. That's kind of what we're trying to do. What works for them, we're going to do it. What works for TYT, we're going to do it. We're going to do it better.
Got you.
I'll compete them. But they've almost got what is it? They're over 1 million, like 1.3 million subscribers now. That's impressive for being 2 years old. Yeah. But I want to compete with The Hill, with human centered capitalism, not just populist left, populist right.
Yeah.
They got that locked down.
Yeah.
PYT has a little more the farther left lockdown. We are going to
Right.
be the moral center, period.
Okay.
So
I love that.
that's what we're trying to be, is the moral center and develop more shows. I want to do an international version of daily news for like the expats. Say what's going on in your country. Let's be aware of the genocide going on right now in Yemen and Myanmar, right? That's the other one.
Myanmar, yeah.
Myanmar. There we go. I keep saying that wrong, but there's genocide happening, and we just don't care.
Yep.
Yeah.
We should at least be aware, whatever.
Yeah.
But like,
I mean,
we should,
even
we should be
Rihanna's
able to-
out here talking about Myanmar and India right now.
Yeah. So that's what I'm excited about this year is keep growing, man, and keep elevating people like you guys. We got to get you on the Trickle Up and get you get your subscribers up, man. Get you guys monetized, get you guys paid for your time, man, which is
awesome.
It's not a lot. Google sucks.
Yeah.
But we could probably help you guys build a Patreon base out or something to help you guys.
I literally just finished our Patreon page today as I was walking into the studio.
And I'm looking forward to interviewing you guys on my podcast.
Yes.
In 2020.
Let's do it. Let's do it anytime.
Happen.
We're ready. Hit us up.
Yep.
That is so exciting.
Well, we're also doing like rotations of co-hosts for the daily news. So if you guys are interested in doing a 1 day a week or something, just let me know. We're trying to recruit talent, man.
We'd love to. Yeah, we'd love to be involved in any way possible. Yeah, for sure. Let's talk. I love that. So where can people find you online? Where are all these places?
Oh gosh. Just TheTrickleUp.com. That's the simplest way.
Okay.
And then the Mindful Skeptics, just put in Mindful Skeptics. It comes up everywhere. It's SEO optimized.
Nice. Nice.
But yeah, on Twitter, I even do TikTok now just to have fun.
Okay.
Just to have fun. I troll the shit out of Trump supporters.
Hanging out with the kids.
It's exactly. But it's not. Once you're on there for like maybe a month, you don't see the kid shit no more.
Right.
The algorithm
Exactly.
kicks in, and you go where you want to go.
Okay.
But yeah, we're all over the goddamn place.
Nice.
So it's just the same old bullshit: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and the Clubhouse. We gotta get you guys on the Clubhouse, man. It's good for networking.
Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna check that out as soon as this is over. I love that.
Okay,
Boyce, such a pleasure.
Yes, go ahead and I'll talk to you after we're done.
Well, boys, it has been such a pleasure chatting with you today, and we are so excited we got to have you on. And obviously, we're going to be hanging out and doing this again very soon, whether it's on your show or having you back on ours. And I can't wait to talk to you again.
Yes, and meet in person.
Yes,
Indeed.
Absolutely. Like
Can't
I said,
wait.
I'm taking you out to get some chopped cheese.
This Yang campaign here in New York is such a blessing for us because all these people that we follow online and that we're inspired by, they're all coming to our town, man. We're gonna have to host some parties. We're looking forward to it. Hopefully, I mean, I don't know about parties. When is the primary for this?
June 22nd.
Why is it in June? Isn't the election next year?
Do you?
No, it's in November 2021 is the general.
Oh, I thought it was a 2022 election. I'm so out of it. So it's all happening right now.
Yeah, the primary is for state legislature.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay, that makes sense. So the New York mayor's race is happening. Primary in June, general in November of this year, 2021. Why are they on a weird off year? That's so interesting. Anyway, yeah. Well, we're excited to meet everybody coming into the city and get to collaborate in person and yeah, it's been so inspiring watching what you're doing and everybody else in this community. And at the end of the day, community is the name of the game. Networking is the name of the game. The more we work together, the more we can get done. The more we can uplift these ideas and inspire more people to get involved. So thank you so much for everything you're doing. And we look forward so much to continuing to collaborate with you going forward. 2021 is going to be a good year, man.
Oh yeah. Yang gang.
Awesome.
Yeah. Have a great one.
Thank you, boys.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
Thanks for checking out this clip from our show.
To watch more clips or full episodes, click on our profile below.
If you want to stay up to date on all of our new episodes and videos, click subscribe.
And if you have any ideas for future guests or topics that you would like to see us cover on the show,
leave us a message in the comments or connect with us on any of our social media channels at Funtime Program.
or on our website at funtimeprogram.com.
We'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.